My parents tried handing my inheritance to their preferred daughter. But I'm 28, and my family has a long, tangled history of favoritism. My younger sister, Amy, 25, has always been the favorite, especially for my dad. It started early and never stopped. When I was 5 and she was 2, our parents threw her a birthday party with professional face painters, a bouncy castle, and even a petting zoo. My birthday that year was a store-bought cake and a small family dinner. That set the tone. As we grew up, the gap widened. Amy always got the newest toys, the nicest clothes, and the most attention. I saved for months to buy a bike when I was 10. The day I brought it home, Amy saw it, wanted one, cried, and instead of teaching her about saving or waiting, my parents bought her a nicer bike than mine on the spot. School made it worse. My parents went to every one of her events. Mine they often skipped. In 4th grade, I had the lead in the school play. I practiced for weeks. I was buzzing with excitement. On the big night, my parents showed up an hour late and missed my big scene. They'd been home playing with Amy after she complained of a stomachache. She was fine. Later, they said they simply lost track of time. My academics never seemed to count. I joined the math club. I got straight A's in middle school. I won first place at a regional science fair. They hardly mentioned it. When Amy got a B+ in her weakest subject one time, they took her out to celebrate and bought her a new phone to keep encouraging her. High school was brutal. I chased their approval like a moving target. I kept a 4.0 GPA and threw myself into everything. I was editor of the school paper. I captained the debate team. I did community service. Amy coasted, barely holding a C average, and hung out with friends. When I was selected by my university as one of 2 juniors to attend a prestigious summer program at Harvard, I could hardly breathe at dinner when I told them. My dad grumbled and changed the subject to Amy's upcoming dance performance. My mom said that's nice and then moved on. They didn't even drive me to the airport because it fell on Amy's concert night. I asked a friend's parents for a ride. College applications were another round of the same. I worked for months on essays, SAT prep, and extracurriculars. I got into several top schools and landed a big scholarship to my dream college. At dinner, the reaction was lukewarm. "That's good," my dad said, "but don't let it go to your head. Remember us when you become a big shot," my mom added. When Amy barely passed high school and chose not to go to college, they called her brave. They praised her for knowing herself and defying expectations. They bought her a car for graduation. The constant favoritism shredded me inside. Through my teens and early 20s, I battled anxiety and depression. In college, I finally started therapy. I learned their choices weren't my fault. It took years to rebuild my self-esteem and to measure myself by my own effort, not their approval. Somehow, I still built a decent life. I graduated with honors, got a solid job in finance, and bought my own place at 27. My parents weren't impressed. I was proud anyway. Then everything lit up. My grandfather on my dad's side passed away. He was a self-made businessman who left behind a sizable estate. In his will, he split everything equally among his children and his grandchildren. That included me, Amy, and our cousins. My share was about $500,000. Life-changing. I could invest, pay off my student loans, and maybe even start a company one day. I felt hopeful for the first time in a long time. But when the will was read, my parents looked irritated. Tight smiles. Afterward, they pulled me aside. They said it wasn't fair that I got the same as Amy. They said she needed it more. She lives in their basement and works part-time at a coffee shop. They said she was struggling. I was stunned, but I stayed calm. I said Grandpa made this decision, and it wasn't ours to change. They insisted I should do the right thing and give Amy my share. When I said no, they exploded. They called me ungrateful and selfish. They listed every time they'd helped me. My braces, school supplies, letting me live at home during college. The bare minimum, repackaged as sainthood. Conveniently forgetting the car they bought Amy. The shopping sprees. The bills they still cover for her, even now. Then my dad crossed a line. He was one of the executors of the will. He said he'd handle it himself and interpret Grandpa's wishes. He'd give Amy my entire portion along with her own. He claimed that's what Grandpa would have wanted if he knew our unique situation. I felt something in me crack. It wasn't just illegal. It was a slap in the face of everything I'd survived. I reminded them that Grandpa had always treated all the grandkids equally. That he knew exactly who we were and still chose equal shares. My mom said I was speaking ill of the dead. that I was twisting Grandpa's memory to suit myself. I shared moments when Grandpa had encouraged my dreams, pushed me to study, told me he was proud. They waved it away. They said he'd been worried about Amy and would have wanted her taken care of. So I asked the obvious question. Then why didn't he write the will that way? Silence. No answer. Amy was awkward through all this. She shrugged and said Mom and Dad know best. When I tried talking to her alone, she froze. She's been trained for years to please them. She wasn't going to help me. So I called my grandmother, Grandpa's widow. When I told her what was happening, she was furious. Not at me. At them. She said my parents had no legal right to change the will. Then she told me something that made everything click into place. Years ago, my parents had tried to get Grandpa to leave everything to Amy. He refused. He said all his grandkids deserved equal treatment. He even added a clause to his will that anyone who tried to challenge the equal distribution would forfeit their share. Armed with that, I confronted my parents. They were startled that I knew. My dad tried to justify it. He claimed they were only looking out for Amy's future. But guilt was written all over his face. Grandma didn't stop there. She contacted the co-executor and her attorney. She called my dad's siblings. They were livid. Together, they shut my dad's plan down and made sure the will would be carried out exactly as written. My parents had to back off, but they didn't go quietly. They accused me of turning the family against them. They said I should have handled it in-house. They said I betrayed them. My dad threatened to cut me out of their will. My mother said if I accepted the inheritance, I wasn't welcome in their house. Then she hit me with the lowest blow of all. She said my taking the money proved I never loved them, and that I was just waiting to profit from their deaths. The extended family split. Some cousins rallied around me because they'd seen the favoritism for years. Others told me I should have given Amy the money to keep the peace, because family comes before finances. My dad's siblings took my side, which strained their relationship with my parents. Amy pulled me aside and, in a tiny voice, said she felt bad but wasn't ready to challenge Mom and Dad. She admitted she didn't know how. I didn't blame her, not entirely. But part of me wanted her to stand by me for once. I stood my ground. I decided to take the inheritance as Grandpa intended. After that, my parents barely spoke to me. Family gatherings turned icy. I skipped our monthly family dinner for the first time in my life because I couldn't handle the glares and the whispered comments. The silence was loud. But something else happened too. I felt a spark of power in myself. I was finally refusing to be the scapegoat. I was saying I matter. It was terrifying and freeing. At the same time, the drama drained me. The anxiety attacks came back for the first time since college. I started thinking about going back to therapy because I needed help coping. And I wondered if I did the right thing. Would you have given up your inheritance to keep the peace? Or would you have stood your ground like I did? By the way, if you're still with me, hit subscribe. More unbelievable real-life stories like this are on the way, and your support helps me keep sharing them. 6 months later, a lot has happened. First, the legal side. I hired my own attorney. He confirmed I had every right to my share and that what my dad tried to do was illegal. He told me to document everything and be ready for court if we had to. Thankfully, we didn't. My grandmother, the co-executor, and their attorney handled it. My dad's siblings backed them up. The will was honored to the letter. I received my full inheritance. Because of his attempt to manipulate the estate, my dad was removed as an executor. It took weeks of tense meetings and furious phone calls, and at one point my parents threatened to sue, but the law was clear. They had to back down. The fallout was ugly. At first, my parents doubled down. They called me greedy and said I abandoned my sister. They tried to turn relatives against me. They spread lies that I had somehow pressured Grandpa into leaving me money. Most people didn't buy it. Then came the worst scene. About a month after the will was settled, my aunt hosted a family gathering. My parents showed up uninvited and started yelling. They said I had stolen from Amy and poisoned Grandma against them. My dad started ranting about how I ruined family memories. My mom threw an old photo album at my feet and told me to look at what I was destroying. It was humiliating. Several relatives had to step in and escort them out. Through all of it, my grandmother became my anchor. She told me stories about Grandpa I'd never heard, about how proud he was of me, how he kept a quiet scrapbook of my achievements. Newspaper clippings. My college acceptance letters. Even the program from the university play they'd been late for. That hurt and healed me at the same time. It was proof that someone in my family had truly seen me. Grandma didn't stop there. She called a family meeting without my parents and laid out the history of favoritism. Some moments I remembered. Others I'd buried. A few I never even knew about. Hearing someone finally name it, on the record, was validating. It also reopened old wounds. But it changed something in the room. It changed us. And then, the most unexpected person found her voice. Amy. She came to me privately and apologized for not standing up for me sooner. After a lot of talks with Grandma and her own soul-searching, she said she believed our parents had been unfair. She admitted that being the favorite hadn't been as perfect as it looked. She never learned to stand on her own. The pressure to be the golden child suffocated her. Whenever she wanted to try something by herself, our parents swooped in and did it for her. She missed the chance to grow. That conversation shifted our relationship. We started meeting for coffee every week. We talked about our childhood with honesty and tears. We encouraged each other. And then Amy shocked everyone. She said she was going to use her inheritance to pay for college. She enrolled at a local community college with plans to transfer to a 4-year university. When she told our parents, they were stunned. I think they finally realized that coddling her hadn't helped her. My mom's reaction began to change. After several hard talks with Grandma, and after watching Amy start to thrive, she started therapy. She reached out to me. She apologized. She admitted she'd been unfair and wanted a chance to make things right. It's slow. We've had a few one-on-one lunches where we told the truth about our past. It's not perfect, but there's movement. My dad, though, dug in. He says he didn't do anything wrong and that we should be grateful children. He barely talks to me. He's cold with Amy because she chose college. He still tries to control us with threats. He said he'll sell the house if we don't come to our senses, then promises forgiveness if we admit we were wrong. We aren't budging. It hurts to watch him push both of his kids away. But I can't make him change. I'm learning to let go of that urge. The wider family shifted too. I've grown closer to my aunts and uncles on my dad's side. They've dealt with my dad's behavior for years, and knowing I'm not alone has eased a loneliness I didn't know I was carrying. Some cousins who stood by me have become like siblings. We even started a monthly cousins' dinner, no drama allowed. As for the inheritance, I put it to work. I paid off my student loans, which felt like breathing fresh air after years underwater. I hired a financial advisor and built a diversified portfolio. I set aside funds to maybe start a business a few years from now. I'm exploring the idea of a community center that offers affordable mental health services and free financial literacy workshops. But the most meaningful investment has been therapy. I returned to it for myself, and I offered to help cover therapy for Amy too. We're both learning about boundaries, self-respect, and healing from long-term favoritism. It's slow. It's worth it. This whole ordeal changed my trajectory. Facing this family conflict and doing the work in therapy showed me how much I care about helping people who grew up in the same chaos. I'm considering going back to school to specialize in working with adult children of emotionally immature parents. I've been volunteering at a local youth center, mentoring teens from hard homes. Giving them the support I wish I had is incredibly fulfilling. I'm even toying with creating a small scholarship fund for kids navigating similar situations, using part of my inheritance. Amy and I keep growing closer. We made a thing called Siblings Day. Once a month, it's just us, no parents, no drama. Last month we hiked and had a picnic, and it was the most relaxed we've felt together since we were kids. We're rebuilding our relationship on our own terms. With my mom, things are still complicated but clearer. She's showing up. She's in therapy. We've had honest conversations. There are boundaries now. There's also the beginning of trust. My dad still refuses to be in the same room as me. He's missed several family events. That stings. But I'm learning that I can't control his perspective, only my choices. Grandma remains our rock. She shares stories about Grandpa and reminds us that fairness and courage matter. She's been the steady voice of reason I always needed. Most of all, I've learned what family really means. Sometimes the family you choose is healthier than the one you're born into. I've built a circle of friends who show up for me. I lean on the relatives who stood up when it counted. I practice self-care like it's oxygen. I'm getting better at saying no to anything that harms my mental health. I've stopped apologizing for protecting my peace. I'm rediscovering hobbies and interests I shelved while chasing the approval I was never going to get. If you're in a similar situation, please hear me. Don't let anyone make you feel guilty for accepting what's rightfully yours. Even if it causes conflict, it's okay to defend yourself. Family dynamics are complex, and you still deserve fairness. It's never too late to build the life you deserve. See a therapist if you can. Surround yourself with people who uplift you. Set boundaries. Your worth comes from who you are, not how your family chooses to treat you. I'm grateful for the support I've received along the way. It kept me standing when everything felt like it was collapsing. The road hasn't been easy, but I feel a confidence I haven't felt in years. I'm excited about this new chapter. I'm committed to breaking the cycle of favoritism and creating a healthier family culture in my future. Now I want to hear from you. What would you have done in my place? Would you have given up the inheritance for peace or stood firm? Have you ever dealt with favoritism like this? Tell me what you think. I really want to know.